friends, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all doing really well. So today I wanted to talk about my January pile of possibilities. So I hope you guys all had a wonderful Yuletide. It's really cold here the past few days. We've been under all of this ice fog that's made everything sort of like muted and gloomy, and even though I live like a vampire, I've been like craving sunlight, but it's gotten me in the mood for all of the dark and spooky reads that I want to read in January. This video is a little bit late, but I wanted to take a little bit of time off just to rest and recuperate. But I'm super excited to talk about all the January reads. So I wanted to make sure to watch a couple of my friends' videos as well to see what book club reads are coming up in January, readathon events and stuff like that, because I want to make sure that not only am I supporting my friends' channels, and giving myself a little bit of an opportunity to break out of just my own ideas of what to read, but also is just keeping with that community and comfort sort of goal that I had for 2025, which I mentioned in my last video. So I had a lot of fun over the past little while. I've been working on a book journal, trying to again for this year. I think I finally found a format that's going to work for me. So I've been sitting in the library with my new electric fireplace and just working on my journal spreads and watching my friends' videos. So yeah. Lots going on for January. This is a very ambitious pile of possibilities, and like I always say, this is not really a TBR. It's something that I would like to do. I might not get to all of these books. I might get to some of them. I might not read any of these at all and go in a completely different direction. I've already changed this pile of possibilities a couple of times for January, so I think this is the one I'm going to stick with, and it's a little bit of everything, so I'm super excited about this. So let's get into what I'm reading. So first and foremost, I wanted to talk about a couple of books that are carryovers from December and one from a couple of months ago. So I didn't get to all of the reads that I wanted to in December, and I'll go through that in my recent reads that'll probably be done towards the end of this month. I didn't get to all the books that I wanted to, but there's a couple that not only do I really want to read them, but they fit into a couple of the events for this month as well. So the first one is Shadow House by Dan Poblocki. So this is Shadow House: The Gathering. So there's a couple of these books, and I showed this book in my December or my Yuletide pile of possibilities. It's a really cool book. It has a super cool cover. So it has this creepy face in this mirror sort of cutout, and then when you open it you can see the face on this side, and there's this young girl here, and there's a hand reaching out for her, and so very cool. And I did do close-ups of these in my TBR video for December, but I didn't get to this one, and it's super short. Like, the text is really big. I believe it's a middle grade book, and the synopsis sounds really good, so I want to make sure to get to this one this month. And the other carryover from December is The English Ghosts: Spectres Through Time. So I've spoken about this book a few times on the channel. I'm really super excited to read it. I went to a seance a couple of months ago at a local historical house that's like super haunted, and ever since then, well, I've always kind of been into the spiritualist movement, but especially around this time of year where it's the darker days of the year, I just went to this spooky event. This one is really piquing my interest, so I want to definitely try to get to this one during January as well. And the other goal, one of my other goals that I have for 2026 is to read more off my ghosty shelf, so this will definitely fit in with that goal. And if you're wondering, the Caffeinated Gremlin today is having a sour Warhead Sour Watermelon Ghost, which is one of my favorites. Now, this is super sweet. Like, they're sugar-free, but it's really sweet and it's really sour. So not something that I typically drink every day, but on the weekends I like to drink these kind of fun ones, and I love the colorway with this too, with the pink and the green as well. So this one, the sour watermelon and the grape, are my two favorite out of the ghost ones. There's a couple that I really don't like, but this one's really good. If you're into drinking energy drinks, that is. I've already had my triple shot latte, which Matt makes me on the weekends, and he like takes time to freeze the glass, so when he puts the espresso shots in it, they kind of like coat the sides of the glass. It's really good. So I've moved on to an energy drink now to help get me through the rest of the day. And then the third book that's sort of a carryover I did a few months ago. I think this was in my October pile of possibilities, if I'm not mistaken. I started reading Gothic Life. So this is Aurelio Voltaire's book on like decorating and like Gothic history and rock and roll history and all of that kind of stuff. And I started reading this. It's super good. It's really, really good, but I ended up putting it down because I was still into that kind of bouncing around sort of reading slump, and there was a lot of other things going on. And so I was reading mainly audiobooks and ebooks. But of course, because this one is so beautifully illustrated, I wanted to get it in hardcover, and I love the cover on this book. So I've just been kind of slowly working my way through this one, so it's definitely going to go back into the pile. So this one doesn't really fit into my pile of possibilities that has to do with the events or anything. It's just something that I was like, oh, I'm going to stick this back in here, read a few more chapters. Hopefully I'll get through it in January. Oh, and one more actually, sorry. I am still reading The Silent Companions. So I've got about an hour or so left of the audiobook. And since I didn't technically finish it in December, I'll be finishing it today, which is in January, so it'll go into this month's reads. Really, really enjoying this one. I don't know why I slept on it so long and I haven't picked it up. I won't go into too much of the synopsis, but it is a Gothic book by Laura Purcell. She's fantastic writer, and this is her most popular book, and it's about this woman. It actually has 3 timelines, but it's about this woman essentially who moves into her familial estate, and there's these wooden figures called silent companions, and they're super, super creepy, and it has a lot to do with like the occult, witchcraft, a haunting, you know, psychological stuff, like the female psychological Gothic sort of element, which I love in Gothic stories. And it took me a little while to get to this one. Again, I'll go over the reason why in my upcoming recent reads. But since this one is going to be finishing in January, I wanted to put it back on this list to let you guys know that I haven't quite finished it yet. Okay, so getting into the new books that I want to try to pick up this month, and I really love that there's a plethora of books here. It's not all Gothic, not all, well, it's mostly horror, I have to say, horror thriller. But I love that it's kind of a really nice split between a bunch of different subgenres of horror. And there's a lot of events going on in January. And one of them is part of the reason why I changed my pile of possibilities for this month, because I had a completely different idea to go for this month. But then I was like, oh no, this is perfect. I have to change it. So I learned the other day from my very dear friend Jen, who runs the channel Literary Love 123. I will have her stuff linked down below. That January, of course, we all know that it's Edgar Allan Poe's posthumous birthday, which is on January 19th. So January has a lot to do with like people who love his work, reading specifically Poe or reading a lot of Gothic. But I learned from her that there's a very specific event going on this month. It is International Gothic Reading Month specifically, and this is fantastic. I had no idea this was even a thing, and I had no idea that this group existed. So this is put off by the Society for the Study of American Gothic, and I will leave their website link down below too. And so if you go on their website, they go through what Gothic actually is, and they have a whole recommended reading list of things that you can pick up that are, you know, Gothic books from all over the world. So there's Southern Gothic, there's Mexican Gothic, there's, you know, traditional, all that kind of stuff. And I thought this was a fantastic reason to just read more within the genre that I absolutely love. So I didn't specifically go through that list. I just picked some books off of my own Gothic reads that I wanted to make sure to get to, and what a wonderful excuse to pick up more Gothic books. So the first book that I wanted to talk about that I'm going to be reading for this event is more of a Gothic adjacent book, but it still has on all of the wonderful spooky elements that I love, and it's a middle grade book. And I was so pleasantly surprised when I started reading this one. I can't remember if I already said that. This is one that I'm currently working on. I'm about 40% or so of the way in. So this is the first book in the Ravenfall trilogy by Kaylin Josephson, and I don't know why more people aren't talking about this series, because so far it's just a delight. It's so whimsical and cozy and has all of the elements that I love. So just very quickly, because the synopsis is quite long, so I don't want to read all of it. It says, one magical inn, two kids with supernatural powers, and an ancient Celtic creature trying to destroy their world by Halloween night. Halloween Town meets Supernatural in the spooky middle grade series from the acclaimed author of the Stormcrow duology. So the two kids are 13 years old and they go on this adventure. And it says, as the two team up to find answers, they unearth Colin's family's secret past and discover that Colin has powers beyond his imagination. And now the supernatural creature, one with airy origins in Celtic mythology, is coming after him. If Anna and Colin can't stop the creature by Halloween night, the veil to the other world could be ripped open, which would spell destruction for their world as they know it. So, I mean, it has everything. It has, you know, the family secrets. It has cozy horror. It's actually kind of funny. Like, it has a lot of humor wound into it, and just, embracing being weird, embracing being different, and it has the mythology and all of that sort of thing. So like I said, I don't know why more people are talking about this series. I didn't even know there was one book, let alone three, which I was super excited when I started reading this to find out that there were more in the series. So I'm really hoping that this continues, and I think it will, into the realm that I'm wanting right now, and I will definitely pick up the other two probably before the end of 2026 as well. And then, of course, as far as this event goes, the three that I just spoke about definitely fall within this realm as well, and also into another event that I'll be participating in January. So that's super exciting. And so next, we're going to talk about a book that was definitely one of my most anticipated out of my last couple of videos that I wanted to talk about my 2026 reads, and that is The Last Witch by C.J. Cook. So I've talked about this one a few times in recent videos, so I won't go too deeply into the synopsis, but basically, and C.J. Cook's writing is so good. I can't wait to read more from her. So basically this revolves around this woman who, one of her husband's men, I think it's one of his valets or a footman, ends up murdered, and she's been having an affair with him, and she's accused of that murder, and she's also accused of being a witch. So she's imprisoned with 6 other women who have also been accused of being witches. So it really does have that sort of witchy history wound in of the witch trials and the empowerment of women and how women were put down during that time. And someone smuggles a witch's talisman into the prison, which some of the women tried to use to like conjure an escape, but it is the severed hand of another murdered witch or wronged woman. So it has all of the historical feels. It does say at the end of the synopsis that it's based on a true story, which I love because you know, it kind of sends me down a rabbit hole a little bit of looking into, like, you know, the ins and outs of what it was based on through history. And then I know that it's going to have C.J. Cook's wonderful Gothic writing and, like I said, the witch's history and feminism, and, you know, I just know this is going to be fantastic. So like I said, I've spoken about this one a couple of times, so I didn't want to get into it too much here, but I think this fits in perfectly with the International Gothic Reading Month. And then the next one that I wanted to read for this event is They Own the Night, and this one might stick out as, you know, not being Gothic, but it is a Dracula retelling. So I do have this one in physical copy, and I just spent about a half an hour looking for it, and I cannot find that book for the life of me. So I'm just going to insert a picture here for now. I'm one of those people that the house has to be a complete disaster when you're trying to do some reorganization before it's actually reorganized. So I could have stuck it somewhere so I wouldn't lose it. And then, of course, now I can't find it. So super excited to read this one because it is the newest book by my good friend Amy McCaw, who's a fantastic writer. I love her writing style, and I think this retelling, I mean, we all know the Dracula story. We've all read it 100 times. There's so many iterations of it. But I'm really super excited to read this one because I think it's so far removed from the actual Dracula story that it's going to be something that's completely new. So just from the back, it says, Mia and Johnny have always been there for each other, particularly since their father was revealed to be a serial killer and is now serving a life sentence for murdering 13 people. Studying in a small university town near Edinburgh, Mia's coping mechanisms are hiding behind sarcasm, horror writing, and a somewhat illegal true crime radio station, while Johnny steps up as her warm, sensitive brother and keeps her out of trouble. But when journalist wannabe Johnny accepts an offer he can't refuse, the chance to interview a reclusive mega rock star who disappeared from public view 3 years ago, Mia finds herself stuck on campus when 2 male students are found dead. As Johnny grapples with the enigmatic musician, he realizes that something about his star's nocturnal habits don't quite add up. Meanwhile, Mia's investigations take her to the most unexpected places, including her dad's prison. So that sounds fantastic. And like I said, we all know the Dracula story. It's been done and redone and redone. But this is such a far removed idea that I'm super, super excited about it. Okay, and then the last 2 works I wanted to read are also fitting into some of my very good friends' book clubs and reading events. So I'll kind of switch gears a little bit now, but everything kind of melds together really well. So the next event I wanted to talk about is the Nevermore Readathon, which is hosted by Kat from Kat's Novel Adventures. So this is a week-long reading event that goes from January 19th to 25th. So basically Poe's birthday week. And this is fantastic because the only prompt for this readathon is read something by Poe. So I thought this was perfect because it's been really years since I've picked up any of Poe's works or anything like that, short stories. So I'm super excited to reacquaint myself with some of his works. I used to love Poe when I was a teenager. You know, I was the normal sort of stereotypical goth teenager that loved reading Poe and Anne Rice and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be reading 2 works, and one of them is actually for another book club. So the one that I'm reading for the Nevermore Readathon is The Mask of the Red Death by Poe. So short story, obviously not a full-length book, but I'm super excited to pick this one up because I also want to then watch the Vincent Price movie, and it's been a little while since I've watched that one as well, but longer since I've read the story. So I thought this was the perfect opportunity. And of course this is about Prospero, who has a party, a masquerade in the midst of the Red Death, and he has all of his rich friends there. So there's a lot of tie-ins with like current events as well. So I thought this was the perfect opportunity to pick up this work specifically. And then there is going to be a live discussion on the 25th, so Sunday the 25th of January. And of course I'm going to be in the comments with Kat and Jen talking about this one because it is one of my favorite of Poe's works. And then the other one I wanted to read is Ligeia, which is actually going to be Jen's Literary Love Book Club pick for January as well. So it's just a whole Poe love fest for January, which I love, and all the Gothic reads, and International Gothic Reading Month, and I just got so excited. So the other one, like I said, is Ligeia, which is also a short story, and she's going to be doing a live discussion as well of this one. So I thought it was perfect because, like I said, it's been a while since I've picked up any Poe. So I'm going to be reading these 2 stories and probably some poetry as well. Annabelle Lee is probably my favorite poem by him, and it's been a while since I picked that one up. So that's 2 book club events or 2 readathon events that definitely tie in with everything that I'm wanting to feel right now. The dark, the bleak, the spooky, and it's going to be so much fun. Participating in the discussions, just in the chats, which, like I said, is part of what I want to be doing this year. You know, get cozy in my library, work on my journal. I do have some journal spreads that I've been working on. So my journal is very, what do you want to say? Functional. I don't have the kind of artistic ability like a lot of my my other booktuber friends do. It's very functional. I just want to have it as a record of what I'm reading, any events that are coming up, sprints that are coming up, and something to do basically to keep my mind off work, something creative to do. And also the 3-ring binder sort of method, I guess, instead of using a dot journal, is working a lot better with me. So I've been working on these spreads while I'm reading The Silent Companions. And then there's 2 more book clubs that I wanted to take part in. One of them I'm actually not going to talk about the book yet because I don't think there's been an official announcement for this book club and what the choice is. So I'm just going to leave that one completely to the side. But I am also going to be reading stream date. So this is outside of the Gothic reads, obviously, and the choice for the other book club is also outside Gothic reads. So we've moved into just kind of like the horror thriller sort of section of this. And so this one is by Sinclair Smith. It's obviously a point horror book, and one that I haven't read before. So my copy is in really good condition, but it doesn't have the embossing like the classic sort of point horror books do. So that's unfortunate. I might look for another copy of this, but this specifically is for Zach's brand new book club over on Shady Side Library, so I'll have his information linked down below. So he's now started a book club, and the two co-hosts for the event on January 11th are going to be Cryptic Coil, very good friend of mine, and Sunnyvale Reject. So I think this is going to be a great discussion. I'll be there chatting in the comments, and really great opportunity for me to, number one, pick up more off of my vintage collection, which is one of my 2026 goals, and the other thing is to pick up specifically more out of the point horror books that I do own. So just very quickly from the back, Katie's worst nightmare has come true, and she's in it. Shy, pretty Katie longs to meet the perfect guy. She thinks she has when she falls asleep one night and meets Heath Granger in her dreams. Heath is handsome, charming, exciting. And if he's a little jealous, so what? He's only a dream. Or is he? And then of course it goes on, but that's all I wanted to read from the back. So I know this is going to be like super cheesy fun. It's really short, and like I said, it does fit my goals for 2026. I think this is going to be perfect, and I'm super excited to be on the live show chatting away in the comments, and that will be, like I said, on January 11th over on Zach's channel. So make sure you, if you're even not going to read this book, make sure you go over and subscribe if you haven't yet. Plus I'll leave the other two co-host links down below as well. So we've now talked about 5 events / book clubs that are going on for January. We have International Gothic Reading Month, the Literary Love Book Club, the Nevermore Readathon, the Shady Side Book Club, and the other book club that I will be reading for as well, which I will keep to myself for now because there hasn't been an official announcement. And the next one, of course, that runs every single January is Winterween. And I'm super excited about this because I usually try to take part every year, but so this runs January 9th to 15th and is hosted by Gabby Reads. And like I said, this has been an established event for the past few years. Now for me, I usually don't just kind of keep my reads within the 9th to 15th specifically. You know, I'm usually pretty loosey-goosey with the dates, so I can make sure that I give myself enough time to get through my books. But there are 5 prompts for this one, and all of the books that I've talked about so far will fit into at least 1 or multiple prompts. And there's one additional book that I wanted to pick up specifically. I wanted to pick up something out of my Audible library because there's a whole bunch of books in my Audible library that have been sitting there for a while that I haven't had a chance to pick up yet. And I wanted something that was fast-paced, a thriller, kind of more along the lines of the stabby horror than the spooky horror, to kind of balance everything out. So I went with Last One to Die by Cynthia Murphy, and I heard about this one over on Amy McCaw's channel. She is like the queen of YA books, and I get so many recommendations. Like, she has definitely loaded up my TBR notebook with YA books that I don't really hear a whole lot of other people talking about. So this one really does sound like it fulfills that kind of fast-paced thriller that I'm looking for. Sorry about the noise in the background, Matthew's just getting home. A supernatural thriller that will keep you guessing until the very end. Packed with the voice-driven whodunit storytelling and classic slasher movie feel, this dark, pacey, and irresistibly creepy thriller really has something for everybody. 16-year-old Irish-born Neve has just arrived in London for the summer and quickly discovers that girls who look like frighteningly like her are being attacked. Determined to make it through her drama course, Neve is placed at the Victorian Museum to put her drama skills to the test. And there she meets a boy. He's kind, fun, attentive, and really cute. Nonetheless, there is something eerie about the museum. As a present-day serial killer and sinister Victorian history start to collide, Neve realizes that things are not as they seem. Will she be next? So it does kind of still fit in with sort of the Gothic feel with this Victorian museum and Gothic history, Victorian history, but it's wound into this really fast-paced thriller, and it is a relatively short audiobook as well, so I'm super excited to read this. I've been wanting to pick up one of Cynthia's books for a while, and I thought this was the perfect opportunity. So just getting into very quickly the Winterween prompts. So we have read a book in the dark. So that will be Shadow House. I've spoken before how I got this like lap desk that kind of like inclines a little bit, and this really cool book light that I can read on my couch for my physical books, which I've been wanting to pick up more of my physical books. So for that one, I will be reading Shadow House, which we spoke about before. Read a horror or thriller book, so The Last One to Die fits into that one. Prompt number 3, read a book with blood or red on the cover, so The English Ghost will fit into that prompt. Number 4, read a book that features vampires, witches, or werewolves, so They Own the Night, which is a Dracula retelling, is great for that. And prompt number 5, read a 2025 release, so I do have The Last Witch by C.J. Cook in there for that one as well. So there you guys go. That is my very ambitious January pile of possibilities for all the events that are going on in January that I wanted to take part in. I'm super excited about this because, you know, there's a bit of everything. There's adult, middle grade, YA, horror, thriller, Gothic, short stories, all of the things. There's, you know, a point horror. There's ghosty books, nonfiction. So I think the fact that this TBR is a little bit varied in that way will definitely keep me out of that reading slump, and I'm super excited to get back into the swing of my normal reading pace as well. So make sure you go check out all of the events that I have listed down below, the hosts, co-hosts, channels, all of that kind of stuff. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give me a thumbs up and leave me a question or a comment down below, because you know I love chatting with you guys. But until next time, stay spooky, everybody. Bye.